disconnecting the fuel line now. It has a little hose here. You're going to press this white clip. It's going to slide off the back. And in the back is going to have this little safety clip for the fuel feed hose. You're going to pop that off. And then you can get these at AutoZone or O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can use them for fuel lines or transmission lines. It's kind of a spring-loaded clip. You're going to slide this over the hose, and it's going to depress a spring in there, and you'll be able to slide the hose off the fuel rail at that point. So the fuel rail is disconnected now. I've got my coil packs taken off, all my injectors unplugged. I've kind of got the harness just laying across. I have to disconnect my brake booster hose, and then I'm going to start taking off the intake manifold bolts. Okay, so next I'm going to take the valve covers off. We'll get a look at the rockers and the valve springs and all that. And then we'll probably take the valley cover off and then start working our way towards the front. Alright, I've got all the rocker arms and push rods removed from this side. I'm going to do the other side, take the valley cover off, and then I guess we'll work on pulling the heads at that point. Got the rocker arms off, both sides now, and the push rods out. I've got them laid out in the order that I removed them. Now I'm about to remove the valley cover. It has an oil pressure sending unit in the back and another sensor. I'm going to unplug those. I'm going to have the rocker arms off, the push rods out. I got the valley cover off. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and start removing the heads, and then I'll work on removing the timing cover and see about getting the cam out. So removing the head, I'm going to start with the 10mm bolts across the top, working from the center, staggering outwards, and then I'm going to do the same on the 15mm bolts, holding the rest of the head on. And I'm going to go ahead and just break all of them loose, and then come back and loosen them the rest of the way. Alright, so I'm about to pull the harmonic balancer off. I've got I guess a 3-jaw puller, what they call it, and I have a milled piece of aluminum to keep it from going into the center of the crankshaft. And you can see it has little grooves in the back where the teeth go to hold it. So we'll see if it pulls it off. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is take this timing cover off. Then I'll pull the lifter and lifter trays, and we'll be able to slide the cam out after that. There's a bolt right here on the timing cover, and it looks like I'm going to have to loosen the AC compressor and bracket and move it over to be able to get that bolt out. Also, it'll help to torque the bolt down when we go back together with everything. It's about 9:30 in the morning or so, and I've got the engine torn down, got the cam out, I've got my heads disassembled over here, got this one cleaned up. I've already put the valve springs in it, and the new valve stem seals. I had somebody come over yesterday and I missed out on some of the filming, but I removed the oil pump, and to do so I had to drop the oil pan. But to get the clearance for the oil pan to drop, I had to take the bolts out of the power steering rack and drop it down so the oil pan would drop the rest of the way down. The oil pan's pretty self-explanatory how it comes out. It's pretty basic with the bolts. You can see all of them. It's pretty simple. So next we're gonna work on getting the cam and lifters in, and I'm gonna put the valve springs in the other head, and then we'll work on getting the heads bolted back on and work on getting the oil pump and the oil pan back on. So the next step is I'm going to be putting the valve springs in, and the way I did that was I put a rag in the combustion chamber of the head and laid it on this table. I slid the valves up through the head before I did that, after I put the valve stem seals on, and then I'll drop a spring on, put the retainer on. We have a spring compressor. As it compresses the spring, you want to make sure that it that it stays pretty straight over the valve, so when you put the keepers in, they'll go in place where they need to go. This is just the reverse order that we took it apart. So next is going to go on the cam retainer plate. So I bought a 3-bolt timing gear conversion from Brian Tooley Racing. It's a different cam sprocket that has 3 bolts instead of 1. I got a new timing chain. There's a timing mark here on the sprocket and right here. You want this one on the crankshaft at 12 o'clock and the one on the cam gear at 6 o'clock. And you kind of just slide it up there. Line up the dowel with the camshaft. In the kit it said that the torque spec for the 3 bolts on the camshaft are 25 foot-pounds, so that's what I'm going to torque them down to. It came with the bolts in the kit also.